how do I export WAV and MP3s in FL Studio? This is a good one. And it took me, I would not say that it took me a while, but one thing that I want to talk about here is about encodings. So we will talk about MP3s, waves, and OGG. So let's go to FL Studio. And you will not see my face for a while, which probably is refreshing because I've been talking for like half an hour already and didn't change to FL Studio. So let's go here to, so let's say you create a beat, you make everything and you mix it, you master it, and you are happy with it. So how do you export? You go to File, Export, and we have these options here, WAV, MP3, and OGG, and we also have FLAC and MIDI, but I would say the most common is WAV and MP3. So let's actually focus on these two. So let's say that I go here and I select waves. So first I have to select a location. So let's do here something like that. And whenever I say save, it shows me this window here. And this window basically just allows you to select what type of encoding you want in your track or the output of your track. So as you can see, there's no fixed way. So you can still go to File, probably I can't, but if you go to File and select MP3, it will show you also here this dialog. So you can always go back, oh, I don't want WAV, I want MP3, and select here MP3 instead of WAV, and it will work the same. So let's go to WAV. When I select WAV, I see this here, this information which says bit depth, and this here stereo. So we can have mono, left only, right only, and stereo. I would say if you are exporting stems, it might be important to use one of these, but most of the times you don't. So let's just focus on stereo. And then we have here this bit depth. And this goes a little bit about what I was explaining in the how do I get started with music production. You have to understand audio. And this is one of the things that you have to understand is bit depth. So we have 16-bit, 24-bit, and 32-bit. What the hell is this bit thing? So a digital system is based on bits, on bit. And basically a bit is just a unit of information, is a zero or one. And as you know, all software is zeros and ones. This is just a bunch of zeros and ones, a sequence of zeros and ones that are sent to the CPU, and the CPU processes those commands that are based on zeros and ones. That's the low level of digital information. So whenever we say here 16-bit, it means that we have for every sample, for every, like I told you about the, let me switch back to here. I told you that whenever I speak, this creates a change in the membrane of the microphone that converts this to a analog signal or electrical signal that goes through here into my audio interface, and then is converted from analog to digital signal. So that conversion there is called, that conversion can have different parameters. One of the different parameters is the bit depth. So whenever you have a 16-bit depth, means that everything that every sample that I collect from my voice, in this case in the microphone, has a size associated with it. And in this case could be 16-bit, 24-bit, or 32-bit floating point. And if you look at the CDs used to have a 16-bit depth information, and that's why it's called 16-bit is called CD quality, because it was the bit depth that was available in CDs, or it's still available in CDs nowadays. So every CD has a 16-bit depth information. As you can see, 60-bit is lower than 24. What does this mean? It means that for the same sample, we have more information for 24 than 16. You might say, oh, but that's not a big deal. CD quality is still good. Yes, it's true. But we live in a digital world, and we have a lot of space in our computers and everything. So I would say always go for the highest bit rate that you can, or bit depth that you can, because that will give you a higher quality of sounds. If you have more information about something, it's always better. You can have more discrete values for every single sample collected, and that will help you with the fidelity of your signal. So that's always better to have 16 than, or to have 24 than 16. And then, as you can see here, it's called int, and then float. What the hell is int and float? So int is associated with integer, and float is a numeric value with exponential. So let's break this down a little bit. So let's say that I have, let me bring up the calculator, maybe that will help. Let's say that I have a number like this. You see, this is an integer number. There's no decimal information here. And as you can see, it's 5,000,000 and 400,000 and whatever. If I do something like this, now we have decimal values here, or fractional values. And as you can see, this cannot be, if we have integers, if we convert this 25.3651 to an integer value, we will only be having the 25. That's an integer. If we go with float, we will have the entire information of this value here. And it's a little bit more complex, like it's not, it doesn't actually store the .3651. It stores like exponential, but I don't want to go too deep into the math of the things, but that's basically it. What happens is that instead of having only 25, which we'll have with int, float allows us to have fractional numbers. And this is also very important because the limitations that we had with 24-bit, it's we still have a certain limit of numbers that we can reach with this 24. But if we use 32-bit, it can go to really large numbers, and the representation is way more accurate and way more precise. Another advantage of using 32-bit float is clipping. So let's say that we exceed the maximum number of bits that can be represented with 24-bit. What happens is that after that, everything will be clipped. And we don't like clipping in the digital world. And that can be avoided with 32-bit float. So I hope that answers, that makes it clear, but that's the distinction here. Again, if you have the option, always go for the highest bit depth, and that's it. The recommendation, always the highest. So that's how to export WAV, and then you just go here and start everything. Then we have MP3, and here we have a different rate, or a different bit rate, which here is called the MP3 bit rate, which in this case is, as you can see, 128 kps or kps. And in this case is kilobits per second. I think it's kilobits or kilobytes. I'm not quite sure. Probably bits, because bytes would be very large. Yeah, I think it's bit, but correct me if I'm wrong. But it should be kilobits per second. And again, the highest, the better. And I would strongly recommend always go for the highest that you have. And you can have actually both MP3 and WAV. And then you just select start, and it will export everything as you want. So I would recommend to always use the what's the word? The default settings here. Always only change this stuff here, whatever you want exported, and the bit depth is usually it comes with 24, I guess. Not sure. If you open FL Studio for the first time, always go for the highest bit rate. Always go for the highest.